Welcome to The Basement. Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to The Basement. I'm Nolo.
Jose.
Here we go. So today's a very special day.
What?
Today is the day that we talk about the intellectual dark web.
Ew.
I want to cut to the chase here. I don't want to beat around the bush because there's a lot that we can talk about. So what do you think about the intellectual dark web? You've been looking it up and stuff, or?
I have. I was up a little early today, actually doing some research on the dark web, and it just for some reason, again, Trump's voice is in the background saying fake media. What we know about the dark web is only what we've been told, right? So I'm like, okay, but what are the positives of this thing? And my opinion is that eventually it's gonna be a method in which we do commerce. Those are the cops. The cops coming.
Hold on a second. I can't. We might have to stop recording. Yeah. We might have to stop recording.
Why?
Because I think you researched the wrong thing.
What? No.
What? Give me a quick explanation what the intellectual dark web is.
It's where trade happens.
No, it's not. You're talking about the dark web.
The dark web.
I'm talking about the intellectual dark web.
No, I'm talking about the dark web, and I'm talking about net zero.
No, see, you're talking about a totally different subject, yo. All right. Wait.
That's not a bad thing, though. Go ahead. So,
Okay,
what intellectual dark web? Go ahead.
Oh God, here we go. You know what? You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I start talking about it. All right. So, in fact, you know what?
Actually, we should do the dark web and net zero and what that is about.
We should, but I'm gonna use that. All right. The dark web is, like you said, it's like an underground system, right? It's almost like when you work on the books, then you got off the books. You got the internet, you got the dark web.
So the intellectual is about
the intellectual dark web is basically the minds and thoughts of people that get pushed and suppressed.
Okay.
Right? An example
are these the people that believe in flat Earth and stuff like that?
No,
They're being suppressed.
I wish we should talk about that too. An example of one of the members of the intellectual dark web is like Jordan Peterson, right?
Okay.
So his ideas are quote unquote radical, too radical, so they get suppressed. Now, for me and you, we think, oh yeah, I hear about him all the time, blah blah blah. But that's because that's what we meddle in. Like that's our area that we look into. Most people don't even know about Jordan Peterson. You know what I'm saying? You mentioned Jordan Peterson, they're like, I don't know what that is. You know. And the reason why Jordan Peterson...
Yeah, but most people don't even know who the vice president is, bro.
It's Melania Trump, right? So the reason why Jordan Peterson got on the stage, the world stage that we're into right now, is because he's from Canada. He was a professor, and in Canada they try to pass a law saying that if somebody wants to be called by a certain gender, you have to call them by that.
Right, and he challenged it, right?
He challenged it. No, and not because, okay, listen, if a person walks in here and goes, I want to be a woman, so, or if it's a guy, if it's clearly a man, right? And we go, I want to identify as a woman. Can you just call me a woman? Right?
Yeah.
Out of respect, I'm like, all right, cool. You know, as long as you're not an a-hole about it, yeah, sure, why not? I'll call you a woman, whatever. But if there's a law that says if I call you a woman, you have to call me a woman, otherwise you're going to jail, then that's a whole nother subject. We're talking about oppression.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now you're holding my speech hostage. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Jordan Peterson was fighting. He was saying you can't, if you forced by law this speech, then you're oppressing us, right? And people were like, no, that's insensitive. If somebody wants to be a woman, what's the problem? Why can't you just call them a woman? He goes, I got no problem calling them a woman. It's the fact that we're being forced to do it. That's the problem, right? So because of that, they like try to suppress him and whatever. But again, you have this group of people. You have this group of people, and I think, like I always say, Joe Rogan's the Oprah of the group.
Joe Oprah.
Yeah, he's actually the gateway to the dark web. I feel like, you know what I'm saying. He's the gateway to underground, the butthole of the internet. You know what I'm saying? You know, then you got people like.
But in relation to what you're saying, the dark web, in essence, is the attempt of the people trading, but the government is like, no. Governments are like, no, we have to. This is illegal. Yeah. Well, we have to tap into this.
It's more than just government. It's people. And realistically, I mean, let's be real here. The left wing media, oh my god, the left wing group think is what's suppressing these people. The people on the right don't really care so much about them so much. Like, they don't really, they're like, whatever, let them say whatever they want to say. Who gives a crap? They're crazy, right? But the people on the left are like, what they're saying is hate speech.
Right.
They're suppressing them, and that's why they got pushed down to the depths of the internet.
So I hear your argument because, you know, these are individuals that I listen to.
Yeah.
And I expose myself to. But again, it goes back to the fact that I feel like the liberals are just, they're exactly their mascot, right? The donkey.
Yeah.
They just, you know, and the media is the one that's riding them with the stick that's waving the carrot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
that's beautiful. That's
I mean, and then they want to, and then they think I'm liberal. I mean, liberal. No, I don't like things on both sides, but I definitely recognize that if you're on the left, you're definitely like, I mean, not all of them. There are some well informed that are, you know, bringing out the conversation.
Yeah.
Cool, great. Yeah. But the vast majority.
Yeah. Now, okay, so now the people that are on the left, quote unquote, that are having the conversation, this is why they call it the intellectual dark web. The people that are on the left, that are clearly on the left, that like, you know what, I'm willing to engage in conversation with these people, and so we can figure out, you know, what's this. Those people also get suppressed.
Right.
Right. So an example would be Sam Harris. Sam Harris is. When I used to work in Resurrection, I forgot what year it was. It must have been like 2000, 2003, 2005, around that time. I used to listen to Sam Harris only because I used to listen to a lot of apologists, right? Like Christian apologist debates. William Lane Craig was one of my favorite ones. He had a debate with Sam Harris. He had a debate with a whole bunch of people, but Sam Harris was one of the voices that I heard. And I was like, I like the way this guy thinks. He may be an atheist, I may be a Christian. Doesn't mean I don't have to like the way he thinks. So I started listening to what he, you know, a lot of his videos and stuff. He has his own podcast now. I think it's called Waking Up. Yeah, it's called Waking Up. And so he's on the left. He's clearly on the left. You know what I'm saying? He's an atheist, right? He's pro-choice. Choice. I said choice? He's
neuroscientist.
Yeah, he's neuroscientist. He's of course with the Second Amendment. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's clearly on the left of
philosopher. Right?
Yeah, he's a thinker. You know what I'm saying? That's all. You know. Yeah, he's a neuroscientist. Whatever. He's clearly on the left. Then you got people like Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is another voice that's willing to engage in conversation. He used to be on the left, quote unquote. Now he's more centrist, libertarian.
You saw him with the latest that he did with Jordan Peterson and I think Sam Harris.
I don't remember. I've watched so much of their videos. I have no idea.
It was good, bro.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. All right. Oh shit! Damn it. So, and then you have people that are on the right, like Ben Shapiro, right? Ben Shapiro is clearly right-wing conservative, but he's willing to have the conversation, right? I don't see. Ben Shapiro's like light dark web. He's like barely dark web. You know what I'm saying? But because he's willing to have a conversation, get into the discussion, go into the weeds, and not get emotional and fight. Like, I wanted to play the clip. It might be too long, like you said, but I put in the show notes. Maybe we can edit it in. It's on the Yeah.
Well, we didn't. It's on the messenger thing. Yeah, I know. But I feel like this is not recording. Oh yeah, it is.
So, and then you got people like Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein. I can't remember if it was Eric. I think it was Eric Weinstein. Eric Weinstein was in a college. I think it was. We talked about it on the podcast actually, one of the earlier podcasts about what happened. And when I say the story, you're gonna remember who it is. That he was in college. And the college years ago had this thing where it was something to do with this book. And the book premise was, if all the black people were to disappear or to walk away from society today, this would be the impact. And the premise of the book was trying to say, like, look, if the black people were to leave, society would be worse off, right? So it's almost like to show like appreciation for your fellow man. You know what I'm saying? So in response to that, the actual school said to the minorities in the school, if this one day you have an option whether you want to come in or not. If you don't come in, that's fine. The kids that do stay, we're going to have a conversation about race, and we're going to talk about the benefits of multiculturalism, blah, blah, blah. Which I think is perfectly fine. It's an option. And then it also gives the minority students an opportunity to join together and form their own group, right? Fine, whatever. Now, during this whole Black Lives Matter, the height of Black Lives Matter, right? When it was like at its craziest point, the minority kids in the school told the school, look, we're now going to reverse the roles, right? We don't want no white people in the school. Now, again, kind of going into what the conversation we had before with Jordan Peterson, if they gave you an option, like they did with the minorities, if you don't want to come in, don't come in. If you do, that's fine. We're going to have these classes. But they didn't do it that way. They said the white people are not to come at all. Black, minority kids only. Again, because you're forcing me to do it, now it's a problem. If you gave me an option and I chose, that's one thing. But if you're forcing me, that's a problem. So because they were forcing the white, not only the white students, but also the teachers. They don't want nobody white in the school. And he was like, this is racist. This is what you call racism. You know? And he fought against it. And because of that, he got a lot of flack. To the point where there's videos online of the kids taking the principal of the school, which is a white guy, and keeping him like almost like a prisoner. And they were like, if you got to pee, we got to go with you. Right? Of course, because they want to make sure he doesn't get away. But to him, he was like, I don't know. I guess they wanted to protect me. Like, he's trying to play like, oh, there's nothing, you know, people can't, especially if they're minorities, they can't do nothing wrong. They were so nice and good to me. Of course. Let's be real. But that's why he got flack. In fact, he had to quit his job, I think. Him and his wife had to quit. They were college professors. And his students said, this guy's not a racist. He's a realist. You know what I'm saying? He's telling you how it is. And I think that's one of the things that unite the dark web is the fact that they're realist. They want to engage in a real conversation, whether that be race or IQ or whatever. It doesn't even matter what it doesn't matter what the subject is. It's the fact that they're going to come at it honestly. And I think that's what separates them from the crowd.
Yeah, we've gone through this several times, but how could you have a conversation with a generation that doesn't know how to deal with their emotions?
I think that's the issue. I think that's what it comes down to.
You've seen the videos of these kids wilding out with their parents.
Yeah.
You've seen it. You see it on the streets. And you're like, yo, that was not us.
Yeah.
My mom didn't. She definitely she whipped me senseless. In the privacy of our home. Outside, you got like the pinch.
Oh,
I used to get the pinch.
Like the look.
The look that you're going to get it later.
Oh, you better stop.
Now you see kids and they're the ones doing that to the parents.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
So how could you possibly have this conversation with a generation that doesn't even know how to they can't even digest or they can't even process their own thoughts
That's the thing.
and separate the feelings.
This new generation is, man, they're like numb to it. Like they don't even see it. They're blind to it. You know, we are at an age where you can confront your problems, and in fact, that's why Jordan Peterson getting so popular now, because he wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life. And the book is literally about taking responsibility for your own life.
So how could he be? I get the association, right? Intellectual. I get the association to what the phrase, the meaning behind the dark web. But I don't know. I think I feel like his voice is getting loud or louder.
Well, that's why we're talking about it now, because it's getting more popular.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
where were we 10 years ago, 20 years ago on this?
Well, okay, so I've been listening to Joe Rogan since when he was just alone recording to himself, watching freaking YouTube videos. So this started a long time ago, but it's just it was quiet. You know what I'm saying? I think that the identity politics of today that we see in the mainstream media, I think that's waking people up more and more to like, this is bullcrap. Like, why are they doing this? You know? And I think I spoke about it before when the way Dave Rubin came to it was he was watching a debate with Sam Harris and Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks, and that's what woke him up. He was like, he's being unreasonable. You know what I'm saying? There was I think we talked about this before. Sam Harris was on Bill Maher and the guy that played Batman, Ben Affleck. Yeah. And he said, we can't have a discussion about Islam without being called racist, without them attacking us, saying we're attacking the people. When he's like, we're not attacking the people, we're attacking the ideas.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though, because, and let's be clear about it, it's the left. It's the left mentality that's causing this suppression, they speak with their hands now. They speak with violence. Yeah. Like that woman, you know. Maxine Waters. Chase them. Find them. Get them. Yeah. I mean, dude, I think we're reaching a point where it's gonna get dangerous.
Yeah. And look,
it's gonna get dangerous.
The left, I like that guy Fleckes. I don't know if you watch any of his YouTube videos where he goes out to where they have protests and he asks them questions.
Yes.
The left is willing to unite. And they're willing to get together and protest this and that, but they're not willing to engage in ideas. So when you ask them questions, they have no answers.
So your analogy then is that the left are better at organizing together.
Hell yeah.
Chocolate. Everyone is going chocolate. They're putting signs of chocolate. Yep. They're wearing chocolate on their face and marching together, holding chocolate in between their chocolatey hands. Yeah. But the right, you know, we're more.
Well, the right is willing to do it, not as much. But one thing I do notice is when I talk to somebody, anybody that leans right, they know the topics, right? If I ask somebody that, I hate Trump,
but they're not gonna make a sign. You ever made a sign?
I've
never made a sign. I don't think, and maybe because I don't have enough conservative, people on the right that have made signs.
I don't know anybody that made a sign.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's funny that you said that you spoke to someone who listened to our show. Amazing. I spoke to a few people. A few people. I've been a busy bee. And that I think it's great that some people think that I'm a liberal because I have like this Star Trek libertarianism utopian mindset, but you have to be so enlightened that guns aren't an issue in that reality because
who cares? I can make a gun right now.
Yeah, and the technology is so advanced that just touching a gun, it knows who you are. It's registered to your print. So go ahead, do something stupid. Yeah. You know what I mean? So why would you even? It's the enlightenment is so beyond that these things that we're currently dealing with it's silly, to that future. But yeah, you can't. You have people who, and I have friends and family members that have made signs, bro. I see them on YouTube and I'm like, that's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I saw a funny quote. On Reddit that somebody said that.
Oh no!
He goes. Imagine your life was so sad. Damn, I'm misquoting this guy because the way he wrote it was so funny. He goes, imagine your life was so sad that when Trump nominates a judge, you go into your closet, you dust off your pussy hat to put it on the march in the street. Imagine that's how sad your life was. So basically what it comes down to is the intellectual dark web, a lot of them have in common, I think all of them have in common, that they're very pro-free speech, regardless of where they stand. Members of the intellectual dark web include Christians, Muslims, atheists, conservatives, liberals, libertarians.
And the one thing they have in common, they're willing to talk about it.
They're willing to engage in conversations without getting angry and name calling without straw man arguments. You know what I'm saying? Just engaging with the topic at hand, tearing it apart, breaking it into a, dissecting it. What about this aspect? What about this aspect? To the point where they may disagree at the end of it, but you as a listener come out better. You as a listener have a better idea of what the topic is. You hear both sides of the argument. Nobody's name calling. Yeah. Nobody's a racist.
That's hard to do.
That's impossible.
And so it is. And you know what? It really falls on the left's hands. It's on them. Because you know that the conservative person, a vast majority, the people that we're speaking of, even Dave Rubin, who's on the left, a rare thing. You could sit down and have a conversation. With my cousin, as I mentioned to you before, she was like...
She's going to hate this podcast.
She is. She's going to hate me. But no name calling, right? It got loud. And when I saw myself getting loud, I was like, yeah, this is silly. And I think she realized it was silly too. But she's probably the only person I know personally that's extreme. Like, she's, registered and she wears it like it's a cloak. And I'm just like...
So one thing, I mean, a little bit off topic, but the one thing about the people that are on the quote-unquote left of the spectrum of politics, for some reason, if you disagree with them, you're either racist, a sexist, or a bigoted, or homophobe. There's something...
This why? Why do you think that is?
If we have a difference of opinion, why
does that automatically label me as...
Yeah, why am I racist?
Why do you think they think that way?
Because they're taught to think that way. And I think that's what it comes down to.
And who teaches them?
I want to say the media.
Yeah, the society, the norms,
and it's get to the point where it's so pushed. It's like, imagine a flat, I don't even know, like a water balloon, a giant water balloon that you inflated, right? And it's a 2D water balloon, and I push the middle down that the right and the left kind of inflate. I think that's where we're at right now. The middle is so suppressed and doesn't exist that the everything's pushed to the left and to the right. It's huge, but like with the Pickford SCOTUS, the Supreme Court judge.
Yeah,
I've watched videos of both CNN, Fox. I'm watching. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get an idea who this guy is because I've never really heard of him.
Right.
And so the main thing is that they're talking about abortion, and they're saying that this guy is anti-abortion. He's gonna get rid of Roe v. Wade. Right? And they're both saying this, right? But except that the right is like, this is a positive. He's going to get rid of it. The people on the left are saying, I can't believe he's going to get rid of it. This is an attack on women's right. He must be a misogynist, womanizer.
This man is going to change the history for generations to come.
Yeah, which, in reality is probably true. But when it comes down to abortion, he said... I forgot what they call it. When they put him in front of the Senate or Congress or whatever and they ask him questions. One of the questions that they asked, I think it was Chuck Schumer that asked him, he goes, what do you think about Roe v. Wade? And he goes, I think that the Supreme Court has already made it law, and I don't think there's any more to have a discussion. Mind you, this guy's on the right.
Mm-hmm.
As a person on the right wing, you would look at him like, I can't believe that he won't defend it. He won't say it's murder, right?
Right.
People on the left. Now, again, Chuck Schumer asked him, no. I'm not asking you about the law. I'm asking you what do you think about it. And then again, he answers, I think that the law is the law. This is already answered. There's no reason for us to even touch it anymore, right? Now, what I hear that man saying is, my opinion doesn't matter because that's not what you're hiring me for. You're hiring me to enforce the law, right? To look at the law for what it is.
I think he further says if you want to amend it or create another law to amend that law, then I'll entertain that.
Yeah. But again, he's not allowing the way he feels about it to interfere with the law.
Well, there's a phrase for that a good candidate for being a judge is someone who reads the laws for what they are.
Yeah.
They were intended for this purpose at this time, despite what's going on now. At this point in time, it was passed for this reason, and I have to uphold that law. That's it. Pretty simple. I can't take that law and suggest to interpret it my way because of the way I'm feeling today.
Yeah.
A judge says these are the tools by which I do my job, and they are what they are. Abortion is legal, so deal with it.
Now, the funny thing about this, the judge situation, is the fact that as soon as whatever, I forgot who's retiring, but as soon as he said, I'm retiring,
Anthony something?
Kennedy, right? Was it Kennedy?
Yeah.
I don't know. So as soon as it happened, immediately, the Democrats said, we're going to oppose whoever they nominate. We don't know who it is. We don't know anything about who it is. We're going to oppose it, right? And that's all you hear from the beginning until now.
People were protesting outside before.
Now, if you ask, let's say I go to that protest and I ask them a question. I go, hey, why are you protesting the, I forgot the guy's name, the one that got nominated. Why are you opposing him? The only answer they have is either Trump appointed him or he's a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Definitely in those.
Right? But if you ask him, okay, what case can you point out to me that shows that he was a racist?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. I'm blank. I got nothing.
Just like we can't remember his name, they can't remember something they don't know.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Yeah, they have no idea. Yeah. Now, why are you here? Obviously, you're here because somebody told you that he's a bad guy. How do you know? You don't know. You just know that they told you. And this is why the intellectual dark web, I think, is becoming so popular now. Because they'll tell you why. And they know why. And this is why I like Jordan Peterson, because he's willing to think out loud. While you're talking to him, he's willing to think it through. And I like that because you get to see how he's thinking. Another thing that's interesting about this group of people is that they're willing to have their minds changed. Right?
What's a good person to listen to that's on the left? Besides Dave.
Listen, I've been listening to a few guys.
On the left.
On the left. There's a few now. Like I said, I listen to podcasts and stuff. So
Yeah, okay.
there's a guy. Let me see if I can find him. Jesus.
Most people don't listen to podcasts. It's YouTube.
Oh, you can find him on YouTube too. Let me go to my history real quick because I just watched some of his stuff.
Brett Kavanaugh. Right?
David Pinkman.
Barrett Kavanaugh.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is? That's who was nominated, no?
Oh, yeah, that's the guy, the judge guy. You're right. Yeah. So David Pinkman is what people call the Ben Shapiro on the left. Again, he's a smart guy. But there's something about left-wing ideology that is an emotional thing. So when I listen to him, I'm like, you're so close, bro. Why are you letting the way you feel?
What was his name again?
David Pinkman. And I'm like, you're so close to like engaging in a legit conversation, but you go off on an emotional, oh, he must be a racist, thing. And it's just like, come on, guy. You're almost there, man. Damn, there's another guy too that I listen to that he's so freaking annoying to listen to, man.
I can't. I give you props for that because I can't. That clip that you were mentioning with Jordan Peterson, I can't. The sound of that guy's voice, I couldn't do it.
There's another show called The Minority Report.
Yes.
You know about that one, right?
Yeah.
Again, God, man, like I want to listen to these guys and I want to listen to what they got to say. But then they go off on this tangent that has nothing to do with the topic at hand. It's all to do with the way they feel about it or the way the people feel about it. And it's just like, yo, you're right. The conversation's right in front of you. What are you doing?
The conversation is in front of you and they're looking to nitpick anything around the actual issue. And it's a tactic that's well known. They're attacking Jordan Peterson and the fact that and let's be real, he is getting what they would consider emotional about the topic because he's invested in the discussion. He's invested in broadening and becoming more enlightened. And and that guy says, why are you you're white, a white madman. You're a madman.
You're a mad white man,
yeah, why are you so mad? And it's like, no, he's as passionate as you are or anybody else would. The only difference is that he doesn't make a sign. You know what I mean? He just wants to talk about the topic.
Okay, so real quick, just to be clear about it. Being emotional about a topic is fine. It's the fact that if that's all you're talking about, you know what I'm saying? If we're talking about the issue of, let's say, racism, for instance, right? And I get passionate saying, look, they've been oppressing Puerto Ricans, they've been killing Puerto Ricans, and I feel emotional about it, that's fine. But if I go into the topic and say, oh, but my titi, you know what I'm saying, she feels bad that she can't get a job, whatever. And imagine how she feels that she can't support her kids, and the kids are this, and then it's like it's going off the topic. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Titi and the way she feels. We're not talking about the actual topic about the way Puerto Ricans been. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of conversation
tactic that's used to, and it's really. And I'm glad that you brought Titi and you brought the Spanish back into the conversation, because it as you go through the chapters of the war against all Puerto Ricans, nice. As you go through the chapters, I don't know where you're up to in that book, but that's exactly the tactic that the United States used to control Puerto Rico. Damn, I gotta go.
You gotta wake up.
That's the tactic that they use, that they eventually erase the history of what happened, because most people I talk to on the things I'm learning from this book, no idea.
So just to go back to what you're saying about the guy, there was a debate between, I forget the name of the debate, I think it was Monk Debates, and one of the contestants that were in the debate, it's such a weird debate to watch, right? The reason why is because usually when you have a debate, you have people on the right versus people on the left. You have Christians versus atheists. You have this versus that. In this one, it's literally you got people on the left and then you got people on the left. And it's when you watch it, it's very interesting because they go deeper into topics. One guy on the left, which I consider far left, is a guy called I think it's Andrew Dyson.
Okay.
Okay. He's a black. I think he's a pastor, a preacher, or something. Then you have another guy that's on the left. His name is Jordan Peterson. We talked about him before. He's part of the intellectual dark web. He's willing to engage in conversations. So one of the things, there's another thing that the intellectual dark web has in common. They hate identity politics. They think that it's the worst thing to happen in a society because you're dividing people into tribes. Instead of saying we are the United States, you're saying you're the black, you're the white, you're the Puerto Rican. Oh, and on top of that, you're the rich, you're the poor. And then, okay, you're the disabled, you're the gay. Like, you're breaking it up and you're dividing a nation to make them fight amongst themselves. Right? Boom. Anyway, the point is that he goes, Jordan Peterson is saying, okay, let's talk about white privilege. I'm not denying that I benefited from my white privilege, right? But what I'm saying is how much and how do we fix it, right?
Right.
You know, let's have a conversation about that. The guy, Dyson, is basically saying, why are you getting emotional about this? He's like, I'm not, you're accusing me of having white privilege. Let's have the conversation about fixing it. And the only thing that the guy Dyson has to say is that you're being an angry white man. And he's basically saying, like, this is the problem we're having. We cannot have a conversation because you're just bringing race into it. You know?
Yep.
Where the conversation is literally in front of your face. We're about to have it. And you're changing it.
Some people can't swallow it.
You just can't, we can't engage in it. I want to talk to you about my white privilege, and I want to talk to you about how can we fix it.
That's the clip you were referring to.
Yeah. What's the percentage that I'm benefiting from my white? It can't be 100%, right?
Well, Jordan Peterson is like, let's talk about my white privilege.
Yes, exactly. Now, it can't be 100% that I'm benefiting, right? Because I went to school, right? It can't be, maybe it's 50%. Maybe it's 20% that I'm benefiting from the white privilege. And how do we fix this problem? But the guy doesn't want to talk about that. He wants to talk about the fact
if it's a race thing, is it fair to say that because of the social norms or where we are socially with race and racism rather, that the white people are suppressed in some ways? Yeah. They can't talk about it.
Yes, of course.
They cannot.
Now, only people on the left would think like this. Okay, and I'm about to say, and I'll probably piss some people off. Only people on the left would think white people can't be white people can be victims of racism.
Right.
Only people on the left would think that. Why? Not because it's true, but because they were told that.
That's right.
Now, when I said that you immediately got mad, is because you've been told that and you believe it. Okay, racism has nothing to do with power plus privilege. That's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life. Because if that's the case, then people in Africa are racist. You know why? Because they have the power and they're oppressing the farmers, making them give up their land. Now, if you believe what you believe, you're telling me that these black people are racist.
So who has the power?
In Africa, the black people are the ones with the power.
Right. But who has the power in the U.S. right now?
Whoever we vote in power.
But I mean,
it doesn't matter if you're black, white, and Chinese. Of course, historically, more white people have been in office, but it's because culturally there's more white people in this country than any other race.
I think the people in the middle, the analogy of the bubble you expressed, the ones that are being oppressed, the ones that want to have the conversation, that lean a little like, I believe there are so many people that are on the fence. That's like, wait, hold on, the left, then they see the right, and they're sort of like just being pressured to, be squeezed into one side, and everyone is just avoiding the conversation or the topic. Or
so what you're saying, I think, is correct. What I'm saying is that when you engage in conversation with people, I said this before in the podcast, when you engage in conversation with people, you realize that they're kind of in the middle, right? But that's not what they'll say. Because you know why? Because they've been told to believe something different.
Right.
So if you
not only are they being told that to believe something different, but growing up in high school, talking to the counselors and psychologists, there was this saying that, what's normal, right? And I feel like that terminology is this is the normal. If you're with Trump, you're not part of the normal.
Yeah. If you agree with anything Trump says,
you're not normal.
You're not normal.
And what's normal is just, you see the tide is going this way, just follow the tide.
Yeah, just follow the crowd.
Just follow the crowd. Don't make any noise, and you're not gonna stand out. No one's gonna ask you questions. No one's gonna, ask what you know about the topic, because you don't even. I mean, really, it's so overwhelming that I don't want to be known as the not normal person, so I'm not gonna look this thing up.
So now it's funny that you use that analogy with the crowd moving, right? So one thing I was thinking about yesterday was the fact that imagine you're a gazelle in Africa, right? In the field in Africa, right? And a lion comes out and charges you. And you're in a group of gazelles. You're a gang of gazelles.
I know where you're going with this one.
And then you run and you stop and you're like, why are we running to the left? Why don't we run to the right? Or why don't we run up that hill? Why are we running this way? And you stop and you ask questions, the lion's going to get you, right? And this is what I feel like is what's happening now.
It's exactly same thing I just said. Exactly the same thing. So that individual that,
that's asking questions,
you're going to get eaten,
you're
boy.
You're going to get eaten alive, bro. The lion, whether the lion be the media, whether the lion be the far left.
But you do have an opportunity at that point in time to actually stand up for your own voice. Yeah. Right? This is your opportunity. Yeah. You could either make it or just run back into the crowd.
Or you could die in martyr.
Jordan Peterson, right?
That's right, Jordan Peterson. All these guys, yeah.
They're willing to go.
And okay, somebody like Joe Rogan is not. He's not right. He's not left. He doesn't care about that crap, right? He's saying I'm pro-abortion. I'm pro Second Amendment. So that Second Amendment thing is what people look at him like. Oh, he must be right wing. Okay, he's like I'm pro gay marriage. I'm pro marijuana. I'm pro this. I'm pro that.
Right.
But he's pro Second Amendment, and that immediately is like, oh, he must be right wing.
Everything was good until he said that.
As soon as he said that, he might as well be a freaking alt-right member.
Yeah.
And if you search online, you're gonna find people that accuse him of being alt-right.
Yeah.
You're gonna. In fact, every single one of these people that I mentioned.
There was just an article that came out about something that he said that. Oh man, I think I sent it to you, and it was like it was all fake. The guy was just looking for attention. Yeah. But those things aren't gonna change, and I feel like that analogy is so thick right now, of just people blindly just running one direction because that's where everyone else is going. It's almost like I feel like it's getting to that point where it's gonna go down, and a lot of people. I think that a lot of people are gonna get hurt.
Yeah. Now this
a lot
is.
of people are gonna get hurt.
So now when people talk about this, they're gonna be a civil war in America because of left, right, blah blah blah. And I always think to myself, why are we gonna have a civil war? Why are you guys even talking about this? Why are we not having a conversation about the topics? Because what's happening is we're not having the conversation. We're just fighting about what we believe in.
Right. And attacking our emotional responses.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Again, with the Sam Harris and
I could prove my point more effectively if I could get you to start yelling or say something. Yeah. If I could get you agitated or mad, then you see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Okay, so
that's the tactic.
So Sam Harris, again, he said basically what he was saying is that some cultures are better than others. Clearly, some cultures are better than the other, right? So if one culture forces their women to have to cover their faces, doesn't allow them to vote, doesn't allow them to drive, give them female genital mutilation, right? Also, they do anybody that disagree with them religiously or politically, they're gonna kill them. That culture is clearly worse than the American culture we have now. That we don't force our women into oppression. We don't do this. We don't do that. Right. So what he's saying is that clearly this culture of Afghanistan or whatever, clearly that culture is worse than American. That sounds horrible. Now, they're talking about ideas and culture, right? Fine. Ben Affleck says that's racist, right? What does the culture of Islam have to do with race? What did I say in that whole topic that had to do with race? Okay? White people could be Islamic. Puerto Ricans, black. I mean, we have a whole group of black Islams called, what are they called again? Nation of Islam, right? Islam is not a race. So when Ben Affleck says that's racist, you immediately know that should immediately put, bells in your head saying he's pushing identity politics. Yeah. Because what I said has nothing to do with race. It's only talking about ideas of culture, right? Right. I'm not saying that I'm not even talking about the religion aspect of it. No. I'm not even saying that the religion is bad. What I'm saying is that the culture of Islam is a bad culture, right? So the fact that, and then when he says that, if you was to point out to let's say I was in the conversation and I pointed out to Ben Affleck, I didn't say anything about race. You're bringing up race, right? He would have got, and if you watch the debate, Ben Affleck gets angry, and it almost feels like, what are you doing? Like out of nowhere, his emotion. Oh, what are you saying? What are you saying is racist? It's almost like trying to say shifty Jew or whatever. And this is why we have a difficulty in America having the conversation, and it's literally because people want to get emotional about topics because they're taught that this is bad.
It's getting worse.
Wow, you sound horrible too.
It does, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like you're talking to me from space.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's happening.
I don't know. Was that? But you did something though.
I did. You know what I did? What? I pressed record.
Don't say that.
Look at his face. Look at his face.
Don't say that. You did?
I did. We just started recording. Hold on. Look at his face.
I'm done. I gotta go.
Hold on. I had the backup going.
All right. Jesus.
Your face. See that emotional? I would attack that. Oh, you're being a little girl. You want to cry?
Well, I didn't attack you. I was just mad. I was emotionally myself.
So you were.
And I was like, I'm ready to go.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's okay to be emotional. It's when you attack with your emotion that it's a problem.
So the lesson here is that I think that those individuals need to learn how to exactly what you just did. You took it in. It was thick, bro. Your face was like,
I was crushed.
You were crushed. You were like, you know what? I gotta go. That's the best thing for me to do right now. I can't talk about this right now. You see exactly what just happened?
I didn't pick. Did you see me make a sign?
You didn't make a sign. You were like, you know what? But I gotta leave because this is too much, and that's okay. That's okay. That is too much. Liberals, the people on the left, they need a lesson in that.
They need to watch this.
They need to watch it. And I'm that way. I realize, and that's funny that you said that the person you was talking to considers me liberal, and I'm kind of thanks for acknowledging that because sometimes there are situations. It's happened a lot in the prior contracts that I have with companies where I get into an altercation, and I'm like, listen, right now I gotta go because it's gonna come out wrong. I'm gonna make a sign. And that sign is not going to be pretty. So I need to get up. I need to cool off. Just like exactly what you just felt. You guys witnessed it here. That's exactly what I feel needs to happen before we can have the conversation.
Yeah. But the bio is going to be heavy videos. I got lots to talk about with this. We have had we've had a small conversation.
All I had was the dark web, the internet.
Yeah. We could go into this. Well, I mean, this group of individuals, I really suggest you look into them. And I'll give you a short list real quick about people that I think are really good to...
The episode, did you see real quickly? The episode, the Ruben... with Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, and Eric Weinstein.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah,
it's a good one.
I'll put that in the bio.
That's
I'll put full videos. Go to the bio. Go to the website, thebasementny.com. Go to the content page and the bio of this episode. I'm gonna put full episodes of all these people talking to each other, and you get to see the conversation right in front of your face.
Yeah, but remember, the scary thing is that you might actually change your viewpoint on certain things.
Yeah.
And, you know, that also means that, yeah, now you're also a racist.
Yeah.
A bigot. If you're willing to change your mind and be more enlightened, it also comes with the territory of being labeled. So
yeah. So a short list real quick is Sam Harris is a good he has his own podcast. I can't remember. I think it's Waking Up with Sam Harris. Then you got Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein. These are both brothers. One of them is an evolutionary theorist. The other one's a mathematician. You got Dave Rubin, another podcaster. He's a comedian. Joe Rogan, podcast and comedian. Ben Shapiro he has his own radio show and he has a podcast. Then you got Jordan Peterson, which is a psychologist, and he kind of got a podcast. He basically just puts things that he records on it.
Yeah,
it's not really a podcast. It's just
like his speeches and stuff.
Yeah, it's just his speeches and stuff. Yeah, that's just a short list. But then you got more like Ayaan Hirsi Ali and man, there's so many people that get pushed to the dark web. Like an example would be that guy from Google. That he wrote that letter from Google. And he said,
"Oh yeah."
So they put him in the dark web
with the whole women and
women in the workplace. Yeah, and they put him in the dark web area. And he's like, I'm just telling you the truth. I don't understand what's going on. Like he was caught off guard with the whole situation.
But I feel like the intellectual dark web is growing. No.
Oh yeah, it's growing.
And maybe through us. Yo, check those people out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're kind of in that sphere. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how far in the fear we are, but we're kind of in there because we're willing to have difficult conversations. Now, people on the left are going to listen to us and be like, you guys are right wing. You guys are freaking right.
Well, I've always considered myself independent.
It doesn't matter, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be labeled.
Are you pro-Second Amendment? That's it, man.
That's it. Done.
Right wing. It's over.
Are
you all right? Are you white? Are you a white male? Cis white gender male? I don't know the labels, nigga, but they be saying that.
I mean, but if the other lesson here is that you really gotta let go of labels. I mean, does it really matter to you? To you?
I don't give a crap about none of that stuff.
Did you ever care about that? Being labeled? My bad.
Being labeled, I'm trying to think of what's a good label.
As a young person,
I don't think it mattered. The only label that I remember is spick.
I kind of like that one.
And I kind of really didn't care about it.
I kind of like it, actually.
I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
Did a label ever put you in that place where you're like, I gotta go?
No, never. I'm assuming that somebody's gonna say that I'm racist or I'm a homophobe. I'm assuming it's coming one day.
Yeah, yes.
Because I got no problem saying about. Okay, now I think gay people should be able to get married through the federal system, right? This is America is supposed to be equal for all people that are married.
Right, we said that, but don't do your own thing.
Yeah, do your own thing. Don't force the church to do it, right? Because the churches, they don't believe in gay marriage. They think it's an abomination. Me as a Christian, I don't think gay people should. Personally, I don't think they should get married. I don't think it's an abomination. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't go to a gay wedding and be like, if I see my cousin getting married to a guy, I'm like, come on, baby, let's celebrate this. You know what I'm saying? You're about to live your life right now.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't. Now, if he asked me, but what do you think about this? I'm like, I think you're sinning.
What Chris?
Right? I think you're sinning.
What would the Pentecostals think about your mindset?
That's a Pentecostal has a far right mindset. You know what I'm saying? A legalistic far right mindset. That they will be like, oh, you can't even talk to a gay person.
You're condoning the act by celebrating with them.
And then what I gotta say is like, look, heaven is a single file line. There's no groups. You're not gonna be like, come in with the group. Single file line. It doesn't matter it matters what he does.
Church on 5th Avenue and 39th Street, church on 59th and 2nd, church on... No, it doesn't come that way either.
It doesn't, yeah. They'd be like, what group are you with? Oh, church on 59th Street, 9th Avenue? Okay,
great.
Looks like your group is in the back. You might want to go meet with them before you come in.
And wait before, get all together.
Get the group together, then we could... you guys in one shot. No, it's nothing like that. They're going to judge you by... Now, I can tell him I think it's a sin. I'm sure I think it's a sin. Now, I sin too. I think we all sin here. Sinning has... less to do with getting into heaven and accepting. Oh, God, this is crazy. Getting into Christian area, but accepting Jesus Christ as the Lord.
I gotta go to work, bro.
I know. I know. Accepting Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior is what matters. Sinning has less to do with getting into heaven. But I digress. I'm not even going to get into that topic. That's a whole podcast in itself.
We could get a few guests on here to broaden the the discussion even further. Yeah, I'm not the expert on that either, but I would like to tap into what you're saying in the sense that getting into heaven to me is your relationship with the Creator.
Yeah.
Sin is just a method of realizing that you need that relationship.
Yeah.
Now, to me.
But anyway, I don't even want to talk.
We're gonna be labeled. We're gonna be labeled. But what I meant to say with that being a lesson for all parties is that at some point, I don't know when, maybe for me it was always, but I remember as a kid saying I could care less about labels. And I realized that at that point that's if anything that's what's gonna hold me back.
Yeah.
And I take on any challenge because labels don't mean anything to me.
I think
it's what I make of it.
I'm about to say I think the only label that matters is the label that you label yourself.
Yeah. I mean, and it's
like I said, I'm a Christian. I gave myself that label. I'm a Christian.
A dad.
I'm a dad. Yeah.
So if
biggest, sexiest,
but at the end of the day, if labels mattered, then I couldn't even have the show. Because I wouldn't be able to take the feedback. It would be too much for me to deal with if I cared about labels. Think about it. We're obviously gonna have individuals that are gonna label us as whatever, and it is what it is, baby.
Yes, yeah.
At least we're talking about it.
Now, look, we're going to have a conversation with somebody, and we're going to ask them, what do you think about Trump? And they're going to say, I hate him because he's a sexist, racist. And then this, again, so what did he say that was racist? What did he say that was racist? Whatever. They have the conversation, whatever. They might not have an answer. Right? Now, if we say, okay, at that point, we bring into maybe you're just thinking that way because somebody told you that, not because he actually did it. That's gonna separate people into two camps at that point. Either you're a free thinker, or you're part of the herd.
Or you're running from the lion.
Okay, so now the reason why I bring this up at the end is because I want people to think, what are you? Are you a free thinker? Are you gonna think freely? Are you gonna make your own decisions? You don't care what people say about you. This is who you are. You're true to yourself. Or you're just going to be part of the herd. If you want to be part of the herd, that's fine.
Hey, so listen, the herd is powerful, right?
Yeah, the herd is powerful.
That's mass is the power in the many.
Look, if the herd is helping you, and let's say you did think this through, and you know what? The herd is right, and you're part of the herd, at least you thought it through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But step back right now.
Take a step back. Look at things like, okay, this judge, whatever, he's anti-abortion. Who said that? Did he say that? You should look it up.
Yep.
And a lot of people are, but he's a Catholic. So what? He's a Catholic.
Yep.
Is it interfering with his work? You know what I'm saying? I know people, I see people on TV that don't have arms. Does he not allowed to drive a car? Right? You see people on TV, right? They have no arms and they drive a car. He has no arms. He shouldn't be able to drive a car. How do you know? You know what I'm saying? Is he proving you wrong? And I think that's, make your own decision. Look at all these topics.
Do it in secret.
Do it in secret because the herd's gonna attack you.
Yeah, if the herd finds out.
And in fact, you know what? As soon as you make a decision that's different from the herd, put it out there and see what the herd says about it, so you can see the identity politics yourself.
But at some point, you're gonna have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'd rather stand alone, independent, without the care of people labeling me. Yeah. I'd rather stand on my own thoughts, because being part of the herd is, to me, it sounds really boring and lazy.
It's lazy. Yeah, it's lazy.
It's lazy.
And it's lazy. It's a lazy thought.
It's a lazy. It's like a
thinking. Yeah, you're just not gonna think it through. You're like, I'm just gonna follow everybody else. It's easier.
Yeah.
I don't want problems at work. I don't want to talk to my freaking coworkers about this stuff.
I do this with the owner, my boss's wife.
I know.
Like, and the interesting part, it gets to the point where it gets emotional, and I'm always just like, just chilling, you know. And when it gets to that point, that's when it's like, we both agree to walk away.
Yeah.
At least there's that understanding. You know, we're not gonna agree. Trump is my boy apparently.
When they used to be like, yo, how's your boy doing? I'm like, who, nigga?
What are you talking about? I don't know this.
I didn't tell you who's my boy this week. Sometimes Trump is good, sometimes he's bad. Maybe he's not my boy. Anyway, yeah, I mean, guys, look into it. Log on to the website, check out the content section, look at the bio. There's going to be hell of a links, a lot of videos. Engage with us in conversations. We really want to know what you guys think about this stuff. I don't know, holla at us.
Yeah, this is the point of the show. This is the basement.
Peace.
Peace.